Okay, so I'm going to be quick on this because it's really hot out here. It's actually not really hot compared to what it was earlier today, but yeah, I'm going to try to make this quick here. So I came out of The Lion King, the new movie, and for one thing, I think it's important to note that nothing will ever top the original film. I think the original film is just that good of a movie. It has its flaws here and there, but it's still a great movie nonetheless, and that's never going to be topped. But the people who have been like, there's been a lot of mixed reception on this review on this new remake, and I get it because, like, let's be honest, like, Disney's live action remakes, they're kind of hit and miss. Although the last couple they've made have actually been kind of decent. Dumbo was kind of decent. Aladdin was actually a lot better than think a lot of people were expecting it to be. And going into this movie, I just wanted it to be an enjoyable movie. I went into this the same way I did with the Aladdin remake. It's like, just be an enjoyable movie. Just let me have a good time watching this movie. And I do get this here. It's an enjoyable movie. It's never going to top what the original film did. Although, let's be honest, the original film has flaws too, but this movie works for it's not a bad movie. I'll say it that way. It's not the bad movie that I think everyone's making it out to be. I've been hearing a lot of people say this is one of Disney's worst live action films, worst live action remakes of all time, but I'm sorry, Alice in Wonderland still tops that list, and Beauty and the Beast, I won't even say that's the worst, but there are things in that movie that just don't work about that film and all that. I've talked about it so many times in the past, but The Lion King's, it's not a bad movie. Like, the visuals are gorgeous to look at. That's the best thing I can say about this movie right off the bat, is that the visuals are very good. And the story itself, it's by the numbers, but they do throw in some little tweaks here and there, but for the most part, it plays like the original film. And there are actually moments in there where the new changes actually do work. Like, there are some parts in there that I thought, okay, this could actually work here and there. The voice acting is very hit and miss. Like, I was really disappointed that Donald Glover's Simba was not as great as I thought it was going to be. Someone made a good point to me that it felt like they were using the worst takes of Donald Glover for Simba in this role. There are times when he can be actually pretty good, but then there are those times where he's just like, he's kind of one note. He's not really given a whole lot of range there. At least with James Earl Jones, you can kind of understand what they were trying to do. I thought at first James Earl Jones was kind of underwhelming in this, but the more I think about it, it's important to remember that this is not 1994 James Earl Jones coming in and doing the voice of Mufasa again. This is 2019 James Earl Jones. He's a much older person, and maybe he's not giving as much range as he used to, but he can still deliver these lines and still get somewhat of a reaction out of them. Not all of them work, but sometimes they do. Beyonce was kind of hit and miss as Nala. I didn't hate her, but, like, I didn't think she did all that much. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar was okay, good, not great, but, like, he has some really bad moments in this. Like, I heard Be Prepared was going to beforehand was going to be terrible, but it's not okay, I'll say this. It's not terrible, but it's very underwhelming. Like, it's really cut down compared to the other film. Honestly, the two people who really made this movie work were their characters work were Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen as Timon and Pumbaa, because they were the only ones who I thought were actually trying to do something different compared to the original film. They weren't trying to just replicate what Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella did in the original film. And like I said, the best thing I can say about this movie is that it's gorgeous to look at. I think Jon Favreau does a great job directing this movie without without any human actors in it, and it shows in this movie, because in the Jungle Book, at least you had one kid that you had to follow through, a human kid, but, like, in this movie, it's just all the animal actors, and for the most part, it works. Like, it works. The directing style is nicely done. The cinematography, I thought, was nicely done. The music is very hit and miss. Some of the new revivals that they do are okay, but they're not great. Like, they don't compare to the other film. And like I said, I don't hate this movie as much as everybody else does, is because I feel like a lot of people were already going into this movie ready to hate it. They weren't ready to give it a full-on chance. I went in there giving it a chance, thinking that it was actually going to be something enjoyable. I wanted something like on the level of Aladdin. And like Aladdin, this has a lot of flaws to it. But most of the time, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing here. Is it a great movie? It's a great It's... Ugh. Toy boat? Is it a great movie? No. Is it a pointless remake? Absolutely. Is it a movie that I think is devoid of anything of worthiness? No. It's an enjoyable movie. I had a good time watching it. Would I watch it again? Probably, yeah. Yeah, but I would rather watch the original animated film, which if you have Freeform, you could probably watch it every other weekend because that's the funny thing about the original animated Lion King. Since, I think, January of 2017, that movie has been played more times than any other movie that I've seen on TV. Like, it shows up every other weekend. I think of the two, it's been on for like 200 times in the last like 3 years. I've probably caught it at least 150 times. I haven't even had to bother grabbing a DVD or a Blu-ray copy that I have of it, but it's always on TV every other weekend. So no one is taking the original movie away from you. That's the thing that you got to take from this, is that the remake is here, but no one's taking the original film away from you. They're like cover songs. They come and they go. Like, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Lion King is kind of in the middle here. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's terrible either. I would say I'd give it about 3 stars. Like, I think you could take kids to this movie and they're not going to look at this and say, "Oh, I appreciate this more than the original animated film," because they won't. They'll enjoy it for what it is. They'll have a good time with it. There's nothing offensive about it. It's just it's an enjoyable movie. Like, I had a good time watching it. I know a lot of people probably don't hold the Lion Guard. I'm thinking of something else. The Lion King to a higher regard, but to me, the remake is fine. It's a perfectly safe movie. Like, it does everything that it needs to do to get what people want to see, and it shows on the screen. Does everything work about it? No, but it is an enjoyable film. I had a good time watching it. I would definitely watch it again. I'm not going to rush out to watch it again. Maybe if there's nothing else in theaters right now, or if nothing's on TV or something, I'll definitely check it out again. It's not a bad movie. That's the important thing to come out of this. It's not a bad movie. It's a decent movie. I think it's a good time for people who grew up with the original film, and for the kids who they're not going to get any bad lessons out of this new remake at all. But like I said, they're not going to look at this and say, this is clearly better than the animated film. Nothing will ever top the original animated film. And to me, overall, the Lion King, this new Lion King, is a good movie, not a great movie. Definitely see it at least one time in a theater. But if not, you don't have to rush out to see it. You should see it at least one time. But you will definitely appreciate the animated film more than this film.